When I was 16, I was going home from work late at night and needed to swing by the gas station. I was getting ready to make a left turn into the station and waited for a few motorcycles to pass, and I looked down the road to clear the turn and saw a single light from a motorcycle about a mile away, so I went ahead and made the turn. About halfway through the turn, I saw the light getting brighter and noticed the guy was maybe 3 feet away from my car. That's when time began to slow down as I stomped on the gas to try to get out of the way. It was unfortunately too late as his body hit the side of my car, completely shoving to the side. I got out and he just laid crushed in the street. The gas station was very busy, so a crowd immediately formed around the man and cops and ambulance came. He died a few hours later in the hospital. After the accident, I just sat on the side of the road thinking, well, I'm going to prison, I just killed a dude. Very much in shock, and a bystander came up to me and said, "Do you see what you did? Go see what you did." I wasn't really responsive at this time. After detectives came and talked to people, I found out the guy was going well over 150 miles per hour on a bike trying to catch up to his friends, and when I pulled out he didn't slow down but apparently ditched his bike and only his body hit my car. Turns out if he stayed on his bike he would have missed me completely. I was bothered for some time but have come to accept that this kind of crazy shit happens, just have to carry on. A very drunk guy tripped off the sidewalk into 5 o'clock traffic, right in front of me. Not enough time to stop. He was limp enough that when I hit him with my SUV, he wrapped up on my back right tire. I stopped the SUV, got out, and found him wrapped up like a burrito. So many broken bones, blood everywhere, but his head was resting at 10 o'clock on the tire. Was in the process of reaching to touch him, just a few inches away, and I saw him breathe. I started crying, went up to the sidewalk and went into shock. After firefighters/cops/ambulance came by, took the report, and I was taken back to my apt from a friend. Spent that weekend at their place, and they drove the SUV to my apt beforehand. But it took over a week for me to be able to drive the SUV again. 2 weeks later, was told the vehicle was a crime scene, so cops took it for another day, but deemed it not needed. Found out the parents were trying to sue me, but due to the 5 witnesses at the location, which I didn't even know, they vouched for me. The toxicology reading, he was at 0.25 alcohol level at death, and he had Hep C. One of the firefighters caught that when they were removing him due to all the blood and the parents did know about, most likely due to drugs. So they dropped the case. I will never drive on the sidewalk side of the road, unless it's a one-way, and I still hug towards the interior and tend to swerve if people are on the sidewalk. This occurred 12 years ago. Not killed immediately, but turned into a quadriplegic, which is a death sentence for a 19-year-old. I was also 19 years old, driving a friend of mine around my hometown because he hadn't been there in years. He had moved out of state many years before. Was on a narrow country road, very hilly and windy. I am cresting the top of one hill, going a little faster than the speed limit, and a van comes up driving right down the center of that road. There's a steep embankment to the left and a deep ditch to the right. I swerved to miss the van, realized I was going into a ditch, and swerved back. I ended up swerving completely around this van and hit the embankment on the left. My car flipped down that hill 7 times. I was wearing my seatbelt, but he wasn't. My side of the car was practically crushed, his barely had a dent. But because I was wearing my seatbelt, I just got glass embedded in my face and scalp, and messed up my left eye, shoulder, and hip. Because he was not wearing his seatbelt, he broke his neck. He blamed me for the accident, and for everything that happened to him, so I have not heard from him since it happened. I can only assume he's dead now, as the life expectancy of full quadriplegics is pretty low. It's been 15 years, but no one gets in a vehicle that I am in without a seatbelt. Period. When I was a young teen, I had a suicide pact with a friend from my area that I talked with constantly on AOL. We both came from abusive homes, and he couldn't take life anymore after CPS came, and his parents convinced them all was okay. Even with suspected sexual abuse from his dad, they deemed it all okay. I could empathize with his feelings at the time. I regret it every day, but I backed out of the suicide pact but agreed to be there for him. I was there when he shot himself in the head with his dad's gun. I did try to talk him out of it all the time, and I did try to tell people, but no one seemed to take me or us seriously. I still hear the gunshot and feel and see the blood in my mind. Every day is hard for me because I really loved him, but I just wanted him to feel peace finally. I feel like us being able to sit online for hours per day and talk for hours about our home lives and how we wanted to die really was dangerous at the time. In college, my friend and I were drinking and doing pills together. He was going to drive home, but I insisted he sleep on my couch. The next morning, I went to wake him around 1 p.m. go watch football. I then realized he was blue in the face and his eyes were wide open. I called 911 and started doing CPR. He never woke up. A few days later, one of my other friends assaulted me. Beating me to a pulp, he screamed, "You killed him! You killed him!" I did not fight back because I felt so guilty. I quit doing pills, and I have had many friends die because of that and heroin. It has caused me to lose all self-confidence and sprung me into heavy drinking. I entered into recovery and have had some relapses. It's a constant struggle, and I think about how I could have done things differently. Please be careful with that kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. When I was 12, I went to visit my father's family in his home country. We were having a barbecue at his uncle's house when this cat goes over to me and starts meowing and asking for food. Before I could do anything, the uncle's wife comes up and kicks the cat with all her strength to send it away. I had never wished for someone to die that badly, especially after I found out the cat had just had babies less than 2 days before. A week after that, she died in a horrible car crash, and my dad told me it was my fault for wishing she would die already. I was at the river a couple years back with my mom, my girlfriend, and my dog and had swam across to a sandbar. The current was pretty strong that day and a couple of Hispanic guys came and tried to swim across. About halfway across they both panicked. I, being a strong swimmer, swam out to try and help them. One of them was able to recover his composure and finish swimming to the bank. The other one couldn't. He climbed on my back and I made the mistake of trying to swim him back against the current for a few seconds. After a couple seconds I turned around and swam him and me closer to a sandbank with the current, the one my girlfriend was at. But at this point I was exhausted from swimming myself and a panicked guy. I had to push him off of me. I barely got myself close enough to the sandbar for my girlfriend to pull me in. He was 13 years old and drowned that day. I try not to think about it and I try not to beat myself up, but sometimes I can't help but blame myself. I went the wrong way, and if I hadn't, I'd have been able to save him. When I was 15, I thought I killed my mom by accidentally giving her 2 really strong pain relievers for her neuropathy, instead of just 1. I blamed myself for so long that she died because of the extra pain reliever I handed to her before I left. I was not sure if I gave her 1 before that or not. I had depression after my mom passed away. I also became very suicidal. 2 years ago, when I was 19, my brother showed me the autopsy report of my mom's death, and turns out the bottle of her pain reliever was 10 less than what it should be. She actually OD'd. I didn't accidentally give her more than she should have. She was very sick and we were having a lot of financial problems. Before that, she kept telling me that since my brother already graduate college, I'll be in good hands. It only made sense after the autopsy was shown. When I was 13, I lost my best friend. I feel partly responsible because I didn't know what was going on in his life and I had ignored him for days. Previously, we had a fight. Both of us said hurtful things to each other. I even remember being racist during the argument. He called me, texted me, and I ignored every one of them. Not long afterwards, I learned he committed suicide, overdosing on pills in his house. One of his brothers blamed me. I blamed myself. I avoided the family like a plague. A friend circle began to disband horribly, each of us having something bad happen to us till none of us were even giving a second glance at each other if we passed in the street. I learned later on he was being sexually abused by his older brother and I began to blame myself even more. I was his best friend and I did nothing to help him. I never even thought to ask why he hated his brother so much. It's been just over 7 years now, and I still feel as if my stomach is rotting when I think about him and the last things we said to each other.